All right, everybody, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Over on Rumble, of course, I managed to get the settings right, so it should be streaming to my actual Rumble channel instead of the personalized one. I'm not exactly sure why there are even two of them. It's sort of like, technically, I think I have 4 YouTube channels. You can switch between them, but only one of them has anything on it. That dates to the G Plus era, and for some reason, there's multiple channels involved, and I'm not 100% sure why, and I don't really give a damn. I have one channel per platform that I actually stream to. I do see that I am live. Already more people watching on Rumble, not only than on YouTube, but also at peak yesterday when I failed. I admit that it was my mistake, actually, on Rumble the other day. My apologies, everyone. Robbed myself of some donations. Russ Hahnemann says, Clank. Marcus Z, 1967. Good morning, Sticks, on your normal channel. Clank, yeah. Bana Layman, good morning, and Clank. And Aricus Reese says, well, he has 3 spoon emojis there. I don't know how to pronounce emojis, so spoon, 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 I suppose. D7 Origin, oh God, I'm clanking. I'm going to clank. I'm clanking. Oh God, I'm clanking. Aww. Very, very prosaic, by the way. We've got a lot to talk about today. We've got to talk about the likely incoming at least, Trump charges from the 2020 election. He tried to overthrow the government. Orange man bad. We'll be talking about that and how fucking bullshit it is. Also, the Burisma update. You've got a massive unclassified form has been released. Grassley's office actually got this. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene giving us a summation. I'll read through that. It's pretty big. Biden is having, for the first time, actually, an actual problem because it's hard to circle the wagons around a scandal that's this big. And then Twitter is trying to subpoena Elizabeth Warren. So we've got some drama there. We've got Elon Musk has gotten tired of the bullshit. So he's gone on the warpath. And he happens to have billions and billions of dollars. So, if anyone can pull it off, it would be him. I'll give my analysis of that in a bit. John Hoyle, as Twitter's adds more video ability and monetizes, do you see it surpassing YouTube? No, I do not believe that Twitter will surpass YouTube as far as video content goes. I do believe that Twitter no longer has any meaningful competitor other than Gab, because Meta's threads, the engagement there, died off as quickly as it rose up because of things that I explained long ago, which is that when you open the platform to users that are already under the umbrella of Meta, Insta users specifically, and you encourage them to sign up for the account. In fact, you practically mandate it, and then you can't decouple if you've activated it. They went on there and they found a few things to be persnickety about, and then they realized, well, I'm already an Insta user. Insta's, to some people anyway, Insta's fun. But Threads was a mess, just boring, filled with censorship. And so never really got off the ground. The only meaningful Twitter competitor is Gab, actually, which is hilarious. John, it's the one I just did. The Great Scalzini, Sticks Live. Watch for the news, stay for the cat butt. Right now we have the fake cat back there. Dicky Dick also is sometimes drawn with an ass. There was one cartoon where he pissed in a plant pot, and it's very, very interesting. Pee-pee and poo-poo are more common in little kid stuff over here in Europe, I've noticed. Even like Ninja, which is I think it's called Mizzy, actually, in the English-speaking world, and it's tied in with a Japanese company. On that one, they have one episode where there are 3 puppies, and then they eat their food and they're being cute and making dog noises, and then they all shit on the floor. I'm not exaggerating. Tall person, good morning. Can't catch these live normally, so have some shekels. Have a lovely day, everyone. And Sigil Stone, morning Sticks, fresh off being perma-banned from Twitter for violent content. Apparently you can't say wood chipper the pedos anymore. Yeah, Twitter, unfortunately, has undone some of its uncensorship over the last few weeks. I hope that it will become better. I hope that they will revert back to the more primordial era of the dawn of Elon, as opposed to going in the direction that they're going now. Professor Plaguebat, what did I just walk into? Dogs shitting all over the place? Yes, in Ninja, there is one episode where there are 3 puppies, and it shows them like playing and, doing dog stuff, playing with the ball, cowering from a lightning storm, actually. There's some reason. But then they eat dinner, and then they poop all over the place. And I find it very, very funny. Shadow banning is also back, says Scott Christie Jones. Yes, although I do not believe I am subject to a shadow ban on Twitter. I'm marching along ahead, gaining 100, 150 people a day on the platform. I'm happy about this. I know that some other people aren't necessarily happy about Twitter, and I could be re-shadow banned at any time. It's sad to think that, your ability to reach other people can be throttled so easily by a bunch of corporate billionaires. So far, Elon is at least, we'll give him credit where credit's due. He's doing better than the fucking people that ran the site before. And I do agree, Tyler Morrison, Alex Jones should be let back on the platform. Anyway, we'll get right started with the news. What to know about the potential criminal charges Trump faces in special counsel's probe into 2020 election aftermath. Yes, they're trying to indict Trump a 3rd time. He's the first former president to be indicted for a crime. Ergo, Orange Man bad. You probably heard about that in the news. Then he got indicted a 2nd time on unrelated charges. They were regarding the papers at the Mar-a-Lago. Now they're trying to look into his election interference in 2020, which is odd because the election was interfered with, but it wasn't by Donald Trump. I'm going to lay it out for you ironclad here. While the charges stemming from Alvin Bragg with regards to business fraud are overbearing, that is, that they would normally be misdemeanor charges, they were artificially upgraded, Trump could face repercussions from that. Probably not jail time or something. It'd probably end up being restitution, house arrest, something like that. And then, by the way, it would be an election steal. So we're going to see, I have a feeling that you're going to see some massive fireworks in the 24 election. At this point, at the very least, we can take solace in the fact that it won't be boring. While those charges are overbearing, they at least relate to something that is chargeable. With the Mar-a-Lago documents case, we see the same thing. Donald Trump had unilaterally declared, and under the Presidential Records Act, he's allowed to do this, the documents at the Mar-a-Lago to be his. Many of the things that were taken by the it's really invasion of the FBI there, were not classified in any way. They were Time magazine covers and Melania's underwear and things like that. So again, it's chargeable. But would the average person be charged? Well, Hillary Clinton wasn't charged for something that was more egregious, which was actually literally classified material. She didn't have the presidential authority to declassify the things that she had, and she had them in her home in the fucking bathroom on a server, and then destroyed them with a hammer mainly. Mike Pence would face similar things. I noticed that they're not going after him. Joe Biden had similar records. Again, having taken them when he was not the president of the United States and had no legal authority to do so. But it's chargeable. Should you charge? No. Does it breach civic decorum? Yes. Is it meaningful? No. Did Donald Trump actually do anything that violated national security? Absolutely not. I don't believe that in 1,000 years. But it's chargeable. There is something, at the very least, there's something there that would trigger an investigation. With regards to the 2020 election, and the riot that happened on J6 at the Capitol, Donald Trump is utterly and completely objectively blameless. There was no attempt to overthrow the election results. There was no attempt to overthrow the U.S. government. There was no attempt at any form of criminality on Donald Trump's part. Donald Trump made a rally, and 20-some-odd thousand people showed up, by the way, and told people to peaceably protest. He told them, go to the Capitol, you can make your voices heard, remain peaceful. That's literally all he did. Looking into this it's a dead case. I think it's DOA. I don't expect that this particular case is going to actually result in anything meaningful. So with Alvin Bragg's case, he might face some civil charge. He absolutely might. I mean, it's happening in Manhattan, so it's kind of the jury pool might be a little bit politically tainted. In the case with Mar-a-Lago, it's possible. It kind of depends on the documents that were there, of course. The public will never know specifically what those documents were because they're all classified. How very convenient for the deep state, by the way. This particular case is DOA. I don't think it goes fucking anywhere. Nonetheless, I believe they will indict him. In fact, this could literally happen this afternoon. Not long after this live stream, Trump could be indicted a third time and again be dragged through the ringer, go get fingerprinted, talk briefly to the judge, roll your eyes, waste your fucking time. And once again, the taxpayers are on the hook for millions of dollars just to provide the fucking security detail in order to try to persecute a man who dares to stand against the deep state. That's what I suspect will happen. The charges in this particular case are goddamn bullshit. There is effectively no way that they're possibly going to stick. Donald Trump's legal troubles deepened earlier this week when he was informed by special counsel Jack Smith that he's the target of a criminal investigation into the aftermath of the 2020 election. The clearest sign yet the former president could soon face more criminal charges. But nobody gives a damn. Jack Smith has become such a politicized household name that nobody really cares about that. They're bringing up civil rights statutes, actually, with regards to post-election decorum. Let me see how far you get, my dude. Alvin Bragg has a better chance of making some of his charges stick. And those were overburdensome artificial felony charges specifically to try to just get like one of them to stick. The idea is when you claim that someone is guilty of 47 felonies, maybe the jury says, well, there's no evidence of any of this, but there are so many charges he must be guilty of something. So I'll find him guilty on one lesser included or something like that. That's probably what they're going through right now. It's a ruse. It's a kangaroo court. This one's not even a kangaroo court. It's a fucking pygmy marmoset court, I suppose you could say. It's not impressive enough to be a kangaroo. At least a kangaroo can kick the shit out of you. Alan Smithy, remember that time when Stick said, I'm going to clank? And then he clanked all over at Anton's in Roanoke, Texas. Yeah. Castigator, will we get any more cat cameos in the near future, Sticks? Depends on their mood. Right now, one cat's asleep on the couch and the other one I think is probably asleep upstairs. A drunk changeling. Exiling Trump to the Mar-a-Lago will be like exiling Napoleon to Elba. Yeah, they run that risk, by the way. Definitely. I agree completely. Nick Severin, Sticks, I gotta ask, do you think there is any way that we get an honest election and Trump gets in there? Kind of black pill, to be honest. Peace, man. Yes, actually, because they're making so many petty mistakes and errors, and because Trump's field is basically wide open, at least as far as the primaries go, I think that he's got a better than 50-50 shot of being reelected Grover Cleveland style. And part of the reason the American people would love the redemption arc. Donald Trump rises up from, I mean, he was born into relative wealth, but not billionaire status, rises up, becomes a magnate. He's all over the place in the 80s. He's all over the place in the 90s. He becomes a talk show host and has a feud with Rosie O'Donnell, etc., and is massively famous. He rises up to the greatest rung, the presidency of U.S. politics and power. The entire Western world is at his beck and call, like a sort of God emperor, which is sort of the meme. And then he falls from grace because of, slimy shenanigans, but we'll assume that the election was totally fair and perfect. Until recently, you couldn't challenge the fairness and perfection of that election at all on many sites. Now, of course, you can. And the only thing better that the American people like more than a hero is a fallen hero. And the only thing that they like more than a fallen hero is the hero that gets back up again. It's sort of the story of the United States, actually, when you think about it. Look at the War of 1812. The Republic in its infancy was very close to destroyed. Weather patterns and a handful of incidents involving Andrew Jackson mainly managed to turn the tide. The American Republic almost died in its infancy. And so it sort of is an Americana story when you think about it. So I think he has a better chance than a lot of people predict. The Patriot Cairo, Trump indicted for murder of Tupac. Yeah. Tupac Shakur. Decent rapper. Not much into rap myself, though. Marjorie Taylor Greene here, who I'm no longer a massive fan of. For a while, yeah, but she's gone Dan Crenshaw mode, I regret to state. But, I mean, she is right on this one. We're going to read some of this verbatim. It has to do with Burisma. And the Bidens are getting hammered right now. He's trending right now for a reason, and it's not because Bidenomics has worked or some bullshit like that. Is this why Biden has America involved in the war in Ukraine? Joe Biden is a criminal and is compromised, and he is leading us into World War III because Zelensky has proof of more Biden crimes. So far, so good. I do believe that is indeed the case. This is the FBI's FD 1023 unclassified form from the FBI's most trusted informant that reveals then VP Joe Biden took a $5 million bribe from Zlekevsky, to get Ukrainian prosecutor Viktor Shokin fired. Now, we've known about this before. We're just getting a document, though, from the FBI itself effectively saying the same thing. That makes the news 10 times bigger than it was before, which is why you see a bunch of cope posting and distraction posting right now all across the internet. And they're trying to keep this story from going viral, not without good reason. We were only allowed to see the unclassified form in a CIF, but I took notes and told you all exactly what it said. Thank goodness Chuck Grassley had a copy from a courageous whistleblower and released it today. Yes, indeed. The infamous document that was never going to be released to the public is now fully available in somewhat redacted form, although there are less redactions on this than the average FBI document that's unclassified. So, yeah, I mean, you can go through it. A link in the description. It'd probably be a good idea to read it for yourself. I'm not going to bother summarizing. It's only 2 pages, so there's nothing huge there. Effectively, what appears to be the case is that Joe Biden, and through his son indirectly and himself directly, were communicating with Ukrainians in order to seal up business deals that were queried as to why they even made sense. But they made a lot of money on them, and then Joe Biden made $5 million on that deal. How coincidental. It's very strange now, isn't it? This document, yes, by the way, Kaiwan F8 had been out before as far as Grassley is concerned, but we're getting it in this form. It's pertinent to the Burisma investigation, and Joe Biden should be impeached. In my opinion, at this point, there are enough reasons to impeach Joe Biden, and I held off. The funny part is, although I'm a frequent critic of Joe Biden, you'll remember for the first year of his presidency, I hesitated to call him the worst president in U.S. history. I made a Substack article late last year, actually, on the topic, how finally I had come around to the fact that, yeah, between the incompetence and the other shit going on, he is the worst president that the United States has ever suffered under. Worse than Buchanan, worse than, Alien and Sedition Act, Adams, and so forth. Worse than W, which is going some. Worse than Obama by far. If Obama were back in office, things would actually be twice as good as they are currently. We probably wouldn't have the high inflation, and things would be better. The irony is you can actually applaud Obama. Hey, of the modern presidents, you are now only the third worst because W and Biden exist. Biden has managed to supplant you for that second place role. First place role. Taking it away from W, actually. And when I look at this, when I see that a VP presumptively catered to other countries and made money doing so, partially using his son as a middleman, that's illegal, by the way. It's not just dubious. And when we have at least circumstantial evidence of numerous other business dealings where Joe Biden told the American people, I didn't meet with, person X, person Y, person Z, and then we have pictures of him shaking their hands from Hunter Biden's laptop. The reason why you see so much cope posting right now about Hunter Biden's dick, which is really what it boils down to, is because it's damning. There's no other way to put it. It's massively damning. Joe Biden broke the law. He should be impeached for that. Now, will he be? I don't know that the Republicans, although they do have the votes to do so, have the balls to impeach him. I think it would be crazy for them not to do so at this point. I think they should stack on as many charges as possible and impeach the miserable bastard. That being said, it would look partisan and it wouldn't sway many independent voters, but it would put them on record as saying, look, Joe Biden clearly broke the law. We have evidence. In fact, we nigh on proof that this happened. We were all lied to. The FBI lied, et cetera, et cetera. They should be going after Merrick Garland 10 times harder. And so we want him out. We're impeaching him. You don't have the votes in the Senate to remove Joe Biden from office. But this is clearly a massive scandal. The entire U.S. population was lied to for several years by the entire deep state system, by numerous bureaus that also censored the U.S. population illegally in the process. There's literally a pending Supreme Court case about this with the Twitter files and stuff like that, with the FBI and other agencies becoming involved with policing speech that was otherwise lawful by U.S. citizens. Trump 2024 is basically the only thing I can respond to this. This is nuts. Anything that we saw under the Obama administration, and he had the AP spying scandal, the NSA scandal, there was Fast and Furious. That pales in comparison to what we're seeing here with regards to Joe Biden, then as VP and also now as president, with regards to some of these scandals that he's been embroiled in. Pales in comparison. And Obama was never impeached, unfortunately. Neither was W. He did plenty of impeachable things. Even most of what W did didn't rise to this particular level. His main sin, for which he was crucified politically, was carpetbagging before Katrina and putting a personal friend in the position of leading FEMA. Well, carpetbagging is a little bit different from outright lying to the entire nation, because Bush, of course, couldn't know that the hurricane was coming and the levees would break. It was terrible. It was a terrible time for the United States, especially for people in the New Orleans area, Mobile, Alabama as well, got slamma-jammed. Nobody talks about that. But it wasn't something that was done with foresight. With Joe Biden, it was done with foresight. He knew that he was lying to the American people. And the FBI knew as well. And they still lied. Let's see. We have Billy. Hey, Sticks, you should check into the 10mm Glock. I EDC a Glock 29 Gen 4 with a Trigicon HD sights. Also, Underwood ammo is superior carry ammo choice. Nice. Guns are fun. Bara, have you ever been to Gill's Deli in Rutland? No, I've never been to Gill's, actually. Come to think of it. I do know of it. John Andrew, screw impeachment, try him for treason. The Rosenbergs did less and got... I don't know if I can say that in relation to a sitting U.S. president, so I'll leave that last part off. Yes, but in order to do that, you would need the deep state to take out one of their own, which won't happen. Dan Malone, 53. Who would ever have thought the Democratic left would have politicized the FBI, DOJ, legal system to protect their party, disenfranchising the Republican Party by slow-walking or hiding documents? There are Republicans involved, too, to be clear. The deep state is nonpartisan. Sigil Stone, 17. Hunter had so much incriminating evidence on his laptop. Did he plan on blackmailing his father at some point? Or himself, given the material of his niece? Why would you have all that? He probably kept much of it as trophies, especially the pornographic content. And, because he's not a tech expert, which is why he was at a computer shop in the first place, he didn't scrub his shit. And so he probably, if you're Hunter Biden, you're the VP's son and then former VP's son, you're not expecting anyone to go through your laptop. Nobody's going to investigate jack shit. You're Hunter Biden. You're a multimillionaire with a former vice president father still active in politics. You're shielded, legally speaking. And so he didn't feel the compulsion to be as careful as the average person would if they were involved in trafficking people across state lines, smoking and dealing crack, and lying on weapons purchasing forms. He felt like he could escape justice. And he has, by the way, and he will continue to do so. It's just a matter of the political will to impeach Joe Biden for impeachable things. Wasted bonehead. Sticks, I'm live streaming at 8:30 p.m. Central tomorrow on YouTube and Rumble. Could I get a shout out? Wasted Bonehead is going to be live streaming 8:30 p.m. Central tomorrow on YouTube and Rumble. Consider that a shout out. Trip Boom, good morning, Sticks. We're back on the main channel. Was you able to figure out if you got the super chats from that one channel as well? Yes, that's my personal channel. At first, I thought that it was the Fan Run channel. It's actually a different one. So apparently, I have two Rumble channels for absolutely no reason. They should probably eliminate that feature. Matt Jones, love your content, man. We appreciate everything you do. Next news story is a fairly big one. Twitter to subpoena Elizabeth Warren for all communications with the SEC on Elon Musk as Democrats target Tesla. Yeah, the SEC, and Warren is big on this one, are trying to go after Tesla. Clearly, they want to erode Elon Musk's wealth, to, I don't know, to force him to bow before them, basically, on Twitter, to play nice with the deep state, especially because there's a major election coming up, and there are people that they want to silence, partially or fully. In the old days, they would just kill somebody they wanted to silence, but that can be messy these days because everyone has a recording system on them at all times, so they prefer to just make sure that they disappear digitally and you know, they can't use the modern town square. Elizabeth Warren is a legal gadfly when it comes to the misuse of bureaucracy to try to go after billionaires. But she only aims this at billionaires that disagree with her, like Elon Musk. Again, I'm no Elon Musk simp. Twitter is not a full-on like libertarian free speech platform, although it could be and should be. That being said, he has taken it roughly in the right direction, so away from some of the worst, most usurious censorship of yesteryear. Elizabeth Warren doesn't like this. Why? Because now people can call her Liawatha on Twitter and they won't get banned for it. It's as simple as that. And because she probably holds stock in companies that compete with Twitter. When are we going to find out? Does she have Meta stock? Does she have, it'd be funny, she had stock in Gab or something. Does she have stock in any competitor of Twitter or any competitor of Tesla or any competitor of the Boring Company, etc.? Probably. Very likely with her stock portfolio. Ergo, she should shut the goddamn fuck up and go, you know, and hide like the cunt she is. Elizabeth Warren has accomplished absolutely nothing. Can you please name for me one, even a partisan accomplishment of Elizabeth Warren? No, there are none. She is completely inconsequential. She exists solely to bitch on Twitter and other platforms about the need to censor other people. They're going after X Corp and Tesla effectively through the SEC related to various things because they can't go after Twitter directly because Twitter can do whatever the hell it wants. It's no longer publicly traded. Twitter, run by Elon Musk, is the owner. Of course, he's appointed a CEO now, whatever her name is. Nobody remembers. They can do what they want. There's nothing the SEC can do about it. There's nothing Warren can do about Twitter. So they're trying to use a legal workaround by going after his other companies. And Twitter is not solvent yet at the moment anyway. So they're going after the one company that Elon Musk owns that really, really brings home the bacon, which is Tesla. He also has Starlink. He has Neuralink. I'm not so much into becoming a cyborg, but there are some interesting suggestions. I think, honestly, Starlink is the best thing that Elon Musk is associated with other than Twitter at this point. I'm not big into getting an electric vehicle either for numerous reasons. And the Boring Company, their biggest thing was making the glorified weed wand knockoff fake flamethrower. So no, thank you. But Elizabeth Warren tried to go for the jugular, go after Tesla, stymie Elon Musk, drag him through court, drag him through congressional proceedings, hyper-regulate, try to destroy his business, hopefully undermining his ability to even continue running Twitter by taking out a huge chunk of his net worth. Now, Elon Musk is attempting to sue Elizabeth Warren. They're trying to subpoena the various communications with the SEC in order to look into them. Will Tesla / Musk / his companies in general be successful? I don't know. The SEC will cover ass for its own. They just went after Library, effectively shutting that down, which means Odyssey's future is potentially in jeopardy. I don't know exactly what's going to happen with them. The SEC wields disproportionate regulatory power, shouldn't really exist at all for the most part. And Elizabeth Warren shouldn't exist in the Senate, but sadly does. So we'll see what happens with regards to that. The person who back in the 1970s lied about being mostly Cherokee because she had high cheekbones and then provided a crab cake recipe loaded with mayonnaise that would not actually appear in the American continent until the 19th century. Yes, that is the one that is currently going after Tesla. She's not the brightest bulb. Kaiwan F8. Why no hate for Woodrow Wilson? Woodrow Wilson was a shit president too. Towards the end, he had a stroke and his wife was running things. This did not improve or unimprove his job performance. Alan Brooks, Styx likes to find the truth in lies because every lie hides the truth inside. Sending you Big Brother. Thank you. Elizabeth Warren is goddamn nuts. Nick Ray, how did MTG go to Ann Crenshaw? Asking as someone who liked her at certain moments. Well, other than calling Lauren Boebert a bitch and getting kicked out of the Freedom Caucus, there's also her kind of waffling with regards to certain other issues, free speech being one of them. As someone who considers that important, I give it importance. Fallen Hero 4567 sent $1. No comment. Thank you very much. Sigil Stone 17, Warren and the SEC targeting Tesla. Who do they think they are? The Chinese telling Musk to stop using Bitcoin with him bowing and saying, yes, Emperor Xi, right away, Emperor Xi. Yeah, that's why I wouldn't buy an electric car, because you're effectively giving that money to the Chi-Coms. That being said, I think Elon Musk does well with Twitter. I think he does well with Starlink. That's, for people in rural areas, it's a real big boon at this point. It's massive success. Neuralink, a little bit less. And I'm not interested in Tesla, but that is what brings home the bacon. And so Elizabeth Warren is attempting to undercut that to indirectly impact Twitter, in my opinion. I don't think that she gives a damn if Elon Musk sells electric cars, because she probably fucking wants to own a Tesla. Mitt Romney's probably got 2 of them in his fucking car garage. But if they're going to go after Elon Musk, they're not capable of going directly after Twitter. It's no longer a publicly traded company. It can literally do whatever the fuck it wants. There is literally nothing that they can do, so they have to use a workaround. G Phaser, your opinion on BRICS gold-backed currency's impact on the global economy? Not gonna lie, kind of nervous. I think it's a bullshit idea. Pegging your currency to any singular thing instead of pegging it to the entire economy does not make sense if you're going to have a medium of exchange. Because gold can be bought and sold. Its value can rise and fall. That movement up and down over time is actually more volatile than the goddamn Fed. So if you have a problem with the Fed manipulating currency, and I certainly goddamn do, and not simply stabilizing it long term to make sure that the inflation rate roughly paces wages and the size of economy, which is what you should do. I have a problem with the Fed overshooting, undershooting, etc., fixing the fucking rates and so forth. It's bullshit. You'd have worse under gold. Ironically enough, it would be a bad idea. I do not believe in a gold-backed currency. Wasted Bonehead, Pocahontas is the cheaper version of Hillary Clinton. Yeah, and keep in mind, she's still worth like 15 million smackaroonies. She's a wine totaler. King of Biltong, good morning from Antons in Roanoke, Texas. Thanks for all the shout-outs. Free shipping with code STICKS, landofbiltong.com. and AntonUSA.com. Have a great weekend, everyone. Hashtag Clank Nation. Yes, you can go and get some meat. That's what I'm talking about. Wish I had some biltong right now. I'm actually a little hungry. I'm going to be trying to make garlic bread for the first time later. I mean, garlic bread that's not just basic bitch mode where you toast the bread and, butter it and put garlic powder on it, but real garlic bread, like pan roasted, put it in the oven, nice and buttery and delicious. I'm going to try it for the first time later. Wish me luck. I have no clue whether I will succeed. In the future, I want to make my own bread for the garlic bread too. This time, I'm just going to take a couple of loaves and slice them up and layer them in the pan, sort of like a bread lasagna, actually. So I'm hoping that it comes out well. A little bit toasty, not too crusty, lots and lots of butter, and lots of garlic and basil, actually. By the way, keep in mind, there is a link at the top of chat if you're watching this video on YouTube, this live stream rather on YouTube, or cross-platform in the description, to the Tarl Warwick Books blog at blogspot.com. There's also one in the description for my WordPress blogspot. Keep in mind, you can buy books from me. I've edited about 400 of them and authored dozens more, so they're all there. Politics, herbal medicine, the history of anthropology, folklore, ancient legends like dragons and unicorns and shit like that. It's pretty much a plethora of everything that could possibly be considered paranormal. And of course, it's almost August, which means it's basically Halloween. It's only 3 months away. So keeping that in mind, you got some stocking stuffers. You hang a pumpkin or a gourd or some shit up in front of your fireplace instead, though, and then you stuff it with occult goods. That's what I'm talking about. I'm going to make my own Halloween celebrations. Next news story. Chicago suburb starts making $25,000 reparations payouts in test run for the whole country. This is actually something that I was asked to cover by an audience member yesterday. He sent a super chat. A suburb of Chicago has become the first to start paying reparations to qualifying Black residents in what is being seen as a test run for the whole country. It'll be a failed test run for reasons that will become evident as we continue reading. The city of Evanston has already paid 16 locals from a $10 million package, first approved in 2019. So, I mean, the approval was years ago. The Evanston Roundtable said Monday. By the end of the year, the Reparations Committee expects to have paid $25,000 each to 140 qualifying residents in the city of about 75,000 people, officials told the Wall Street Journal. So, in a city that's approaching a six-figure population total, you're making minor payments to less than 200 people. And people were willing to absorb that because these are white NIMBYist liberals and, you know, they get money from the state and stuff, and they decided to randomly give it to Black people. So your community is overwhelmingly white, is a rather wealthy suburb. So this is not inner city Chicago. This is gated communityville. And you've decided to give reparations to the handful of Black people that happen to exist there. Why do I get the feeling that this is a little bit disparate from the situation in much of the United States? It's number one. Number two, Illinois never had slavery. So why are you paying reparations for slavery to people based on the color of their skin? Thirdly, why the fuck hasn't a court injuncted this? Because it's quite clearly a violation of the Equal Protection Clause. What the fuck is happening? How are they even able to make the goddamn payments? Who knows? The $10 million fund was initially supposed to come from tax cash from legal marijuana sales. When that proved too slow, government is the only way in which you can sell weed and not make a good profit. The council agreed to allot real estate transfer tax money from properties worth more than $1 million. If you have a community in which you've got properties, enough of them to make a difference, that are worth more than $1 million. That's well above the median amount that a house is worth. The median, I think, in the United States has like $230,000 or something, $230,000 thereabouts. It depends on community. Apparently, you've got enough properties that are worth more than $1 million so that you're capable of scraping together the money to give $25K, which cost of living adjusted is a drop in the goddamn bucket, by the way, for this community, to people based on the color of their skin. You couldn't even get that money by selling marijuana to people? Only a goddamn government could possibly fuck up selling drugs. If you had a couple dozen crackheads, let Hunter Biden be the ringleader. They would have gotten you that $10 million long ago. You wouldn't have had to wait till 2023, 4 fucking years later after authorization. You would have had it within a year. Dude, I could sell pot along the side of the road in Evanston and probably make enough money for the city to have paid this off. Why is it not injuncted? What the fuck is the purpose? Illinois never had slavery. You've got a tiny minority of people in this apparently very wealthy suburban community who are even Black, and you're acting like this is a test run for the entire nation. Now, the entire nation is not comprised of a bunch of white liberal NIMBYists with the housing authority with $1.5 million homes, transferring that real estate, paying a tax, and then you give it to Black people for no reason. Wouldn't it be funny if one of those Black people was one of the people that had to pay the tax, by the way? Ah, shit, man. I went to Harvard. I've got two master's degrees and make $500,000 a year. Sell your home and you have to pay the transfer tax, but then you get it back anyway just because you're Black. This makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. It makes absolutely no sense at all. And if you think outside of a few, like this is Chicago with the white NIMBY liberals. So, 80% of the population of the suburb is probably, Biden voters. It might fly there. Try and enact the same policy in an area that oddly enough is more diverse, especially if it's majority Hispanic. I don't think that it's going to go over so well. Doc Holliday, oh well, whatever, never mind. I get the reference, man. Shoot some heroin, man. Not a band account. We must tax the rich until they go away. Unless they're politicians, of course. Mopey Hornet, one of the big consequences coming from IRS expansion is government going after flea markets for not doing sales tax. Where I live, they've shut down at least 5 flea markets. Yeah, that's bullshit too. People should be able to buy it. It's like, are they going to go after yard sales next? You know, you have to do a sales tax at the yard sale. They probably would love to do so. By the way, I don't have the number of staff necessary to do so, but they are expanding. Thank you, Republicans, for allowing that to happen. Not a banned account. Do people of color, slave owner descendants get reparations too? Yeah, let's say that you're black, but your great-great-grandfather was actually a black slaveholder. It's not applicable in the state of Illinois, but there were cases of that. In fact, some of the early slave owners in the U.S. were black. They were not white individuals. So, like, does it cancel itself out? So they don't have to pay the transfer tax, but they don't get the $25K? Or, I don't know. Who fucking knows? They haven't thought it through completely. Next news story. Eliminating cash bail puts Illinois, once again in the news, firmly on the road of criminal justice reform. I'm going to weigh in on the concept of eliminating cash bail. I believe in the following criminal justice reform. If there is no victim of a crime, so the person has only victimized themselves or they've done something that's regulatory in nature, there should not be any punishment. There should be no bail because they shouldn't be in court in the first place. If a person has created a victim, sometimes it's civil. If it's a civil case or a meaningless, like a nonviolent crime sort of case, make reparations to the person. You have to pay the victim. If it's against society, so vandalism or something, they scrub your graffiti and do community service. You have to go and volunteer, something like that. Keep you out, a very streamlined court case, keep you out of jail. You should not face imprisonment because of a nonviolent crime, unless it's at the highest level, in which case the reparations are higher. You might be in jail if you're not capable of making them, but really, wouldn't it be better to just, make the billionaire that committed massive tax fraud go and scrub graffiti for the next 2 years? It would be funny. It would also be useful for society. If it's a violent crime, so there is a victim, you've assaulted someone or something, but it's not a meaningful one. You didn't attempt to kill them. You got into a bar fight or something like that. Just jail. Or again, restitution of some sort. We could clear out fucking half the people in the drunk tank this way. And mandatory, you were drunk when you did it, so mandatory rehab for a couple of weeks or something. Only the highest, most meaningful cases really need to have bail at all, at least on any significant level. So somebody has allegedly raped somebody. Somebody allegedly is a kitty fiddler. Somebody allegedly assaulted another person with the intent to kill them. Somebody has committed vehicular homicide, negligent or not. Something like that, throw away the key, punish the shit out of them. Now, we should raise the punishment for major crimes. For everything else, I actually agree with the liberals on this. If you have committed a non-crime, then there shouldn't be a charge. If it's a minor crime, including certain violent crimes, you should not face jail. You should not have to make bail. It is self-evident in most cases, especially with everyone carrying smartphones. So you have 7 different angles of the bar fight that went on. It's going to be self-evident whether the person was inebriated, they were out of their gourd. They've got a couple of people who will testify that when they're sober, they're a perfectly normal person. They're not a menace to society. They're sick. They need to get clean. Mandatory rehab. And then clean up your fucking mess. You have to go back. You have to clean up the bar. You have to clean up the graffiti outside of the bar. You have to pay your victim. And then you have to go to fucking rehab. That's what should be done. Fuck bail. Excessive bail is required on virtually every meaningful crime that exists in the United States. There are people that get 5-6-figure bail totals. I realize that they don't have to pay everything up front, of course, for little crimes. Drug possession, $5,000 bail. Why? All they had was a little bit of weed. If anything, the state should pay them. Maybe if you supported them more, they would be able to make the money for the reparations payments over in Evanston. I think that that's a much better society. That's what should be done. I believe fully in criminal justice reform, and eliminating bail for many crimes is definitely part of that. But they're trying to extend this to significant criminals with a significant victim involved, and I definitely don't support that. By the way, in passing, CMT is now facing a boycott similar to what Budweiser did over their Jason Aldean's video there. Try that in a small town. They're probably going to die as a company because Budweiser was poor at reading the room. When they had the Dylan Mulvaney thing, which was cringy and bullshit that made him a brand ambassador, they lost a significant amount of their drinkers to other beer brands. Unfortunately, if you're going to drink beer at all, drink a microbrew. Don't switch to Miller or Coors. I mean, you're fucking crazy. Or just don't drink. You know, so you're healthier if you're not drinking particularly anyway. And keep in mind, of course, a majority of sales of booze go to a disproportionately small number of boozers who happen to be chronic alcoholics, sort of like fast food. But CMT, think about this, it's country music television. Who is the average country music listener? Are they from New York City and they voted for Biden? Or do they wear a goddamn cowboy hat and have a combine harvester? They're more likely to fall into the latter category. These are people, country music is big in areas that are like small town Springsteenville, rural America, parts of the South, especially bluegrass competing, Kansas or something like that, Tennessee. These are not the sort of people who like woke cancel culture. And so country music television may lose enough of its audience to literally go defunct over this. If this boycott continues to grow, and it's certainly growing relentlessly at the moment, it's being pushed by content creators, it's being pushed by politicians, etc. I looked at the song, and again, while I'm not a country fan, I didn't find anything violent with it. There was nothing objectionable in there. It's remarks upon small town America and how Antifa probably shouldn't show up and start throwing Molotov cocktails. That's literally the whole fucking goddamn song. By the way, the song has riffs that sound very 90s, actually. I wasn't a fan of the song necessarily, although as far as country music goes, it was better than most, I suppose, stylistically. Again, a little bit more rocky. If I'm going to listen to anything that would be loosely country, it'd be like Johnny Cash or something like that. So I'm not a Jason Aldean fan. But boy, oh boy, did they read the room wrong. Much worse than Budweiser. My hope is that they double down on this. My hope is that CMT comes out. My apologies. My hope is that CMT comes out and issues a statement in which they refuse to apologize so that they can get dogpiled fucking harder. Because watching CMT completely flatline would be hilarious to me. So we'll see what happens there, but I don't see good things ahead for their company. Boom her. By the way, please send no more super chats because I do have to go offline at some point here. I have to get materials for the garlic bread and delicious spaghetti later. And I make my own sauce. Don't worry. And I don't break the goddamn noodles. Any Italians that are watching me, don't worry. I'm not going to trigger you. Boomer, the Ilvis reparations for redlining practices in the 50s and 80s, not for slavery. The article you're referencing is lying. I believe it's dovetailed, but you shouldn't get reparations for redlining either. You think there aren't poor whites that were redlined? Like they never put up an impassable highway blockade around the trailer park that was 95% white meth heads? Of course they did. Pata D, have you been watching the British debunking political non-woke personalities? No, actually. And a follow-up, bloody autocorrect, debanking, not debunking. Yes, I did see that Nigel Farage got debanked, although they're making an excuse for that doesn't quite pass the smell test. JD, wanted to get your take on education. What if the U.S. created online courses that middle schoolers and up could complete to receive money when you pass? Did AP and had to pay to get college credit? You could do that. You know, it's usually called trade school. It's called taking an internship or something. Not a banned account. Biden could easily make the Hunter scandal a win. Biden goes on TV, mentions how the pain of his family ensued, opened his eyes, pushed to legalize drugs. Ironically, Biden could probably pull that off, but he's a tough-on-crimer, and so he won't. Sad for him. Ozzy's Robots, morning. Not sure what you've covered, but what are your thoughts on Musk cucking for advertising? Also, Trump is being prosecuted for a non-crime. Agreed on Trump. And as far as advertising goes, I don't care if Twitter wants to make money, because you have to do that in order to actually have a website at all. I just want to see the censorship, number one, be much less, and number two, be equally applied. So you don't play favorites for certain groups of people. The Patriot Cairo. Biden's guilty of money laundering, tax evasion, bribery, embezzlement, corruption, market abuse, child abuse, lying and coercion, but orange man bad. Yeah. Although the child abuse is alleged, we're not 100% sure. We just simply know that he acts creepily around individuals who are not 18 years of age. By the way, as many people watching on Rumble right now as on YouTube, Uncle Gib on Rumble. King of Biltong, I got around to cooking up that ribeye last night. That was the most amazing thing I've ever eaten in my life. Insert jokes here. Nothing has ever compared to that. Ribeye steaks are good. I don't know what the inside joke is, but I hope that you're being serious about eating your steak, boy. Sigilstone 17. Democrats giving drug money to blacks for their collective guilt over slavery. That's a lot of joke material there, but the absurdity of it transcends all parody. Yeah, most of the jokes you could make would get you banned on a YouTube live stream, so I can't even do a video right now. I have to wait till tomorrow to joke about that shit. And Uncle Gibbs follow-up, still my favorite Bud Light commercial. And then he has a link there. Kid Rock's viral protest of Bud Light promoting transgenderism and Dylan Mulvaney. Yes, I did see Kid Rock shooting up the Bud Light. Although he should have just not bought it in the first place because he's still giving money to the company. And then the final news story, really quick. This is a sad one. Senate votes down measure to rein in NATO war-making authority. Rand Paul, once again, thank you, Rand, the sane man of the Senate, please run for goddamn president again. We'll try to get you in next time. I'll be going with Trump for 24, but if Rand runs in 28, I'm going to have a field day. I think that would be great for the country. I think that he would make the perfect president, actually. Senate votes down measure to rein in NATO war-making authority. The Senate on Wednesday rejected an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act that would have clarified that Article 5 of the NATO treaty does not obviate the need for Congress to declare war. The final vote was 83-16. So you've got it first from here. The U.S. Senate is stacked with goddamn warmongers that aren't even willing to assert their own congressional authority. In the United States, under our Constitution, Congress declares war. Have we not learned our lesson from giving limitless force capabilities to the U.S. president after 9/11 to invade Iraq and Afghanistan? Because those weren't declared wars. Congress effectively stood back and said, yeah, you're allowed to use force in these countries. We're not willing to declare war because we don't want to declare war for some reason. We want to be clear. We want to be free and clear from any fallout when it inevitably goes bad. Go ahead and wage your proxy conflict. We're involved right now in military combat in Syria, where we have not declared war, Yemen, where we have not declared war, Libya, where we have not declared war, Ukraine, well, in a proxy situation, where we have not declared war, Afghanistan, we still have a limited involvement. We've still got people in Iraq. The list goes on and on. We're in like 10 different fucking countries at once in hostile territory, not to mention all the countries that don't mind that we're there. Congress is supposed to declare war before a single U.S. soldier is sent into a theater of foreign combat. Over the last 2 decades, this has not, unfortunately, been the case. And the fact that the U.S. Senate would not want to reiterate the fact that it has a role to play in force capability and the ability to either say yay or nay to declaring war in a foreign state in favor of a globalistic tract, a globalistic framework that subjugates the U.S. Constitution completely illegally is completely farcical. Rand Paul is right, along with the 15 others that voted with him. I think it was a couple of several Republicans and actually a couple of far-left Democrats, if I remember correctly. He is right, and the rest of the Senate is wrong. So I want a full list of the people that voted for and against this. I'll be looking into that later because I'm interested to see who the traitors are. It appears that 83 members of the U.S. Senate are traitors right now. How wonderful. Not exactly unexpected, but how goddamn wonderful can it possibly be? Jez for Prez, rare meat sucks, only medium or above. I will take mine medium rare. Don't like it fully rare. That's a little too gelatinous. And the medium is okay, and there's nothing wrong with a medium steak. Once you get up to medium rare, you're starting to get a little bit non-juicy. This is how you know I'm not Razor Fist. Trip Boom, thanks for the dinner tip tonight. My girls love spaghetti. Yes, I'm going to make a shit ton of spaghetti with my own homemade sauce. King of Biltong, I told you at Uncle Gib, that is absolutely great tasting steaks. We will get more and expand our selections. Yum, yum. So yeah, I think I'll go offline now, and I'll prepare to go to the store and get my tomatoes, and I've got zucchini and onions and all the herbs and spices already. Yes, I put zucchini in my pasta sauce sometimes. If I'm gonna have double carbs, so you got the spaghetti noodles and you've got garlic bread, I want to have more like vegetable-ness in there just to counterbalance it. It improves the flavor. I like to contrapose things when I'm cooking so that things are more balanced. I don't like a whole lot of this or a whole lot of that unless it happens to be things like curry. On that, I'll splurge. I will dump a pound of fucking curry into the lentils and I'll be perfectly happy. Liz, meanwhile, will be very unhappy. She's not a curry eater. So, yeah, it's Friday, so I obviously won't be live streaming tomorrow. Keep in mind, again, link in the description cross-platform and at the top pinned, if you're watching on YouTube, to my books blog on Blogspot. I got your back, my Busta. I've got all sorts of shit there that you can check out. Authored works, edited works, occult works, political works, satirical works, and funny works. Splatterpunk works that will make your stomach churn, including the one that I'm working on now. I am one section away from completing Orange Man Big Part 2. Be slightly longer than the former work, and I think I knocked it out of the park. I think that a lot of you are really going to enjoy that, so stay tuned. It should be available sometime, actually, next week. That's about all. Peace out.